Azimio la Umoja, ICC Trump on William Ruto is dangerous, but of course, in the altar of politics, it will have to be underestimated by the UDA wing. Welcome to the bold analysis. My name is Kevin Oduor. I've gone through the letter that was written by Raila Odinga's personal lawyer and Azimio la Umoja allied lawyer Paul Mwangi to ICC in what I can see as a strategy to prepare the ground for the second round of mass action by the opposition wing. And I've seen a highlight of what they have asked, what they are seeking the attention of the international court in the wake of what has happened the last 1 month. And I've just tried to narrow down my interest to some four issues that they've mentioned. One is they're taking an issue in asking the international court, to probe further, rather to intervene on establishment of a police squad that, according to them, was behind police brutality, and talking about the civilian corps that were actually deployed in the streets to neutralize the Azimio protests. The other one is illegal banning of the protests by the police boss, something that Azimio believes is in contravention of the Constitution of Kenya. And it is a ground that it is what has been abused to deploy the security officers on ground to neutralize the Azimio protests. So they're also saying that on that ground, the current administration is breaching the Constitution, and the other one is killing and maiming of demonstrators. And there is a very disturbing data on how many police officers have suffered, including the one that was ran over by a police car, even though the police said it was protesters' issue, but that was not it. The other one is attack on journalists. Remember the event, the ones, and they've actually mentioned the list. They have created the list with the contacts of those journalists so that investigations can be done. And they're asking the ICC to investigate. The question as to whether we've reached the threshold of attracting the attention is dangling on people's mind. But then, for me, I may not know the threshold, but I want to look at how that trap is something that is going to haunt the current administration. Now, to make you understand better that, I want us to look at these four instances that, to me, I captured them during the Azimio rallies and the protests. And there are the events that should actually worry all of us. Before that, I started a very short 1-week fundraiser to support Mercy, who is the wife to the gentleman I just interviewed here, who is detained in Kenyatta Hospital after she gave birth and there was excessive bleeding. Then there was a bit of more extra medical services that was needed. Then after that, the bill accrued to around 80,000. So I'm just running a 1-week fundraiser to raise 80,000 for that family. My number is there. Kindly, let's push on, planning that by the end of next week, that fundraiser, it should be closed. But then let's help that young couple make their way. Now, I want us to look at this. Of course, the number is there for 710 62 78 89. I've decided to run the 50 shillings challenge. Now, I want us to look at this. Now, what you're seeing on my right is, or rather the video is seeing here, is the moment tear gas canister was thrown during Azimio la Umoja roadside rally in Ruaka. And you can see the way I got worried, and I remember analyzing this, saying that honestly, there was no issue, there was no threat profile. The protesters are very peaceful and they're listening to what the Azimio leaders were saying. And from nowhere, a tear gas canister is thrown in the middle of that speech. And I remember it was Onyakoya who was talking, it nearly caused stampede. Very unnecessary, and it borders just trying to create unnecessary tension among the public. Now, that happened, but then there was also this other instance, which I think even the Azimio team have mentioned, the Raila's the bullet shots in the car that he was trying to explain in this video here, and actually was pointing that some of those the vehicle was shot on the side where the other side that he was seated, 7 attempts. Now, one thing I also gathered, the Azimio team said is that it was really done after the pipeline. So they were actually kind of trailed after they left pipeline. So that shows the kind of the level of, the level of command, the kind of command that perhaps was there, because it does not just take casual command for an officer to attempt to shoot Raila Odinga's vehicle. It's not that casual. There are also some brutality on protesters and also the journalists. Now, that photo, and I think it's one of the most trending photos, it was one of the most trending photos in the month of March, really shows the level of, intolerance it got, where that vehicle, that police officer, was captured trying to even throwing tear gas canisters inside a vehicle that, of course, by good luck, no one was there. But it clearly tells you that there was no protester inside the car, and that was totally, purely witch hunt on a person. Now, that is just a sneak peek of what I believe, in my opinion, took the attention. But then, in the other part of this analysis, which I want us to pay attention to, is why this letter, or rather the move by Raila or the Azimio team to try get the attention of ICC, can actually haunt Ruto's term moving forward. And it's a very interesting part that I don't want you to miss. So make sure you watch to the end, and kindly subscribe to our channel. Click the notification bell and like our video. Thank you very much for those who are supporting us from every part of the globe. There is something that is happening. There is a mistrust. When you dragging ICC, I think in the ideology behind the Azimio team is to first create, they are seeking the international attention. Now, that can haunt President Ruto because there is already a simmering mistrust between the UD administration and some international bodies, including the UN. The video I just analyzed was some Pentagon leak on chit-chat between United Nations top brass about them saying they don't trust William Ruto because probably he's ruthless. So I am saying it can haunt the ICC call for ICC intervention, can haunt William Ruto because with the report that there are some international bodies that are not feeling comfortable with him, they can actually push this. You don't know why they don't prefer him. Why they're saying they're showing such kind of disdain. But then, if without much of a solid international support, it only shows that this opportunity or such kind of calls can easily be picked by the international bodies and the international human rights protection bodies to pursue issues on this. So this can really cause bit of disruptions on Ruto wing. The reason why, just today, and I want to look at this article here. This was a story that was done sometime, I think last week, where a body was actually blaming the police for use of tear gas and was actually saying that the chemical warfare and medical experts raised concerns stating that Kenya was in violation of an international treaty over the use of banned weapons. That treaty is a treaty of, and they were blaming the Inspector General of Police for having committed the serious violation by using tear gas against protesters. So that treaty, experts referenced the 1925 Geneva Protocol that categorized tear gas as a chemical warfare agent that must not be used on civilians or soldiers. Now, this was a body that was talking, and in some extent, it's only weighing on the violation of human rights. And I know most Kenyans or most critics have always taken, when we speak about violation of human rights, it's not only on the protesters. Even the rights of the police are being violated by the orders, by those who are above, using the junior officers and giving orders that are a bit unconstitutional. That's the truth. So when we are in the protest, when there is a protest, none is spared, neither the politician, neither the police, nor the protester. So this must be a holistic thing. And that is why I believe that with the Raila Odinga team calling on the ICC, it's giving a fodder to these international bodies like the UN, who are already showing mistrust to President Ruto, to thrive. You don't know why they're saying they have that disdain. The other thing I see is the protests are going on. And sadly, maybe I'm the only one making this observation, it has now emerged that the protest seems to be the new way, that the new trend that Kenyans have devised to vent their frustrations, or rather to register their dissatisfaction with Kenya Kwanza government. Two examples: China Square. When there was the issue of China Square, people thronged Nairobi CBD in protest. Just recently in Mount Kenya, there was the death of two killings of bodaboda guys, some bodaboda guy, chairman of Chuka Bodaboda Association, linked to a protest. And so protests have been going on, leave alone even this one. Even the workers, those working in the county government and the national government, have threatened they are going on strike. So moving forward, because the strike, I know that of mass Azimia has been demonized as a mass action because of the distraction linked to it, and it's simply because some other people, rogue elements and gang groups, take advantage of that opportunity to rob innocent Kenyans. But you cannot underestimate that Kenyans and lobby groups seems to have opted for protests as the way of venting their frustration. So if you don't design a good way to hold them, then what it tells you here is, if you want to go brutal on the public, then you're not going to win the war. So the protests are going on, and it seems that's the new way. Now with ICC in it, even if you want to neutralize, today if doctors decide to join the streets, or contractors, there is a very heartbreaking video I saw of a contractor who went, I think, to a government office, and the guy alitoa manguo and was asking why he has not been paid. That really, oh my goodness, that was, I really felt for that gentleman. So that's it. You cannot kill people because of they will be protesting. And that is why I see that the question of ICC coming will actually offer the handbrakes. And these handbrakes really comes against. Remember, the handbrakes will even come in terms of legislations on those trying to ban demonstration. Now, President Ruto should listen to this, and someone watching this video should share this with him. The question of violation of human rights, especially right to life, that is now coming through these reported cases of extrajudicial executions, will taint the image of government, and it can get its way in the ballot in 2027. Let me tell you, this is a more emotive political factor to address if it gets in the campaign trail than even the cost of living. When it gets, and I saw, I think the Raila Odinga team during the protest, they were running some campaign on ending police brutality. When you don't become very tactical, and the trend, or rather the sudden increase in some of these executions, get its way, that in the public people are saying we don't want the state, or rather the government, because of extrajudicial executions. It's more emotive. And if you think I'm just saying, then look at what is happening, what happened in Uganda. The images and photos for Uganda was very traumatizing. I saw I saw one recently when a student leader was being arrested, and I'm like, hey, kwani Uganda wako na shida sana. I think that's the photo there when someone was being arrested. So that's what I'm asking, is the question on violation of human rights, when it reaches in people, and it will cut. Remember, it cuts across, be it the hustler, be it the mtu mkubwa. Human rights to life and property. A situation where someone is saying that my things were destroyed because of politics. The Northland City thing, the attack on Raila Odinga's company, and so when it sinks, it's more poisonous. It's a bad poison. Fear of personal responsibility will actually derail and compromise the spirit of collective responsibility. I listened to Kindiki and I support. Kindiki said well in Parliament, I wish he means it, that those police officers that will use live bullets protecting themselves within the confines of the law will be protected and they will be defended. But those who will just use excessive force outside the prescribed situations of using live bullets will carry their own cross. Now, when you hear a minister telling you that you will carry your own cross, and the opposition saying we want ICC to come in, what does it mean? It's about carrying your own cross. And if there is something that people fear in this country, is carrying your own cross. In this country, people like blaming the other person. The other person, I was told. People want it. And that is what I believe. And this can even compromise the whole system. The whole command system. Who wants to give that command? Who wants to give that? Like I know, so, for example, I know that someone can even contemplate about arresting Raila, but then who is to give that order? Who is to give the order? You getting a policeman to arrest Raila is not a problem. But who is to give the order to arrest? And even that policeman who's going to arrest Raila, who is he? Unaweza mfunga macho so that ajulikane, but it's about collective responsibility. Thank you for watching, guys. Thank you for watching. Let's meet in the next, and let's try to push the challenge to help release that girl. I believe that next Saturday, that lady should be out of the hospital. We can. 80,000, we can. I know we've always done this in the past.